When we look at European flags, they are generally very different from each other. Of course, there are some similar motifs, but the colors are completely different. And even if the colors are similar, the flags can be easily distinguished by their arrangement. However, if we now look at the flags of the Arab states, things look very different. Even at first glance, you can see that they all look very similar. We see almost exclusively four colors: red, green, black, and white. And the motifs of many of the flags also overlap to a striking degree. For example, the three flags of Yemen, Egypt, and Iraq, or those of Jordan and Palestine, or those of Qatar and Bahrain. And the whole thing is not random, of course, but has a very specific reason. So what is it about the Arab flags, and why do they all look so similar? We'll unravel this mystery together in today's video. Have fun! To understand the background, we first need to delve into history. Most Arab states actually have a very similar past. Most of the time they were under foreign rule, with the Ottomans having the greatest influence. They advanced into the entire Arab world at the beginning of the 16th century. Under Sultan Selim I, they defeated the Mamluks. As a result, modern-day Syria was incorporated in 1516, and only a year later all states up to Egypt followed suit. And the conquests continued under his successor, Sulayman the Magnificent. He conquered Baghdad in present-day Iraq and continued to conquer the entire Arabian Peninsula. Even more territories in North Africa fell to the Ottomans. By the end of the century, almost the entire Arab world was under the control of the sultans. Despite the rapid expansion, the subsequent rule was relatively mild. The conquered Arab territories were divided into provinces and districts, which were administered by Ottoman governors. However, they relied on existing local structures and elites to make administration more efficient and secure the loyalty of the local population. Many regions therefore enjoyed great autonomy and were allowed to regulate religious and civil matters themselves. A golden era therefore began throughout the empire. Many Arab cities, such as Damascus, Cairo, and Baghdad, flourished culturally and intellectually. Integration into the empire promoted trade and the exchange of ideas and knowledge. Arab scientists, artists, and merchants traveled within the empire, and there was close cooperation between the various provinces. This created a real sense of unity in the Arab world for the first time. However, towards the end of the 19th century, the Ottoman system of rule began to crumble. The empire had long since passed its zenith and was regarded by Europeans as nothing more than the sick man of the Bosporus. And it was precisely the Europeans who contributed significantly to the collapse of the former empire. On the one hand, rapid industrialization in Western Europe widened the economic gap with the Arab world, while on the other, European ideas such as nationalism finally reached the Ottoman Empire. For the first time, a broad resistance to foreign rule began to form. Intellectuals and political leaders in the Arab territories demanded more autonomy and a stronger national identity. Many even called for complete independence. And this spark, like so much else, was finally extinguished in the First World War. There, the real weakness of the Ottomans became apparent, and unrest broke out throughout the empire. And the Arab nationalists did not miss this opportunity, and without further ado, instigated an Arab revolt. The aim was to create an independent Arab kingdom and end Ottoman control. The support of the British and French was also particularly crucial. Both promised the insurgents such a state if they joined the Allies. Under the leadership of Sheriff Hussein ibn Ali of Mecca, an Arab revolt began with the generous support of the British, uniting almost the entire Arab world under one banner. And this banner looked like this. I think this makes a lot of things clear and explains why these colors are still so present everywhere today. Because there is a deeper symbolism behind this flag. The colors black and white are the colors of the Prophet Muhammad, and green is his favorite color and symbol of the Islamic faith. And the secular symbolism also stands for a profound symbolism. The three main colors represent the three Arab dynasties of the Umayyads, white, Abbasids, black, and Fatimids, green. Red was added as the color of the sheriffs of Mecca and the unity of King Hussein, the revolutionary leader himself. But how did the flags of today come about? Here it gets unexpected again. The Arab revolt was militarily successful and contributed significantly to the defeat of the Ottomans in the Middle East. Nevertheless, everything turned out differently than expected. After the war, Arab leaders expected the British and French to keep their promises of independence. But they did not. Instead, they divided up the constituent states among themselves. Great Britain was given the mandate over Palestine, Transjordan, and Iraq, while France took over the mandate over Syria and Lebanon. Other states, such as the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, had already been under European control for some time. The division led to considerable disappointment and resistance in the Arab world. The Arab nationalists felt betrayed by the European powers and continued their fight for independence. In the meantime, the flag gained importance as a revolutionary flag against any foreign interference. And indeed, the first states were successful in their fight for independence over the next few years. Iraq became independent as early as 1932. Syria and Lebanon followed in 1943, Jordan in 1946, and many other states, particularly in the Gulf, in the decades that followed. And these newly formed states often adopted the pan-Arabic colors in their flags to symbolize their common history and striving for unity. The so-called Arab Liberation Flag, which was also based on three of the four sacred colors and was later established as a national flag by other states, was also created during this period of the War of Independence. But which countries exactly used the two pan-Arab flags? The unchanged Arab Liberation Flag is used by Yemen. Then we also see it on the two flags of Egypt and Syria. Interestingly, the two states briefly united to form a single state, the United Arab Republic. However, this entity only lasted 3 years. Syria retained its flag as a constituent republic of the United Arab Republic. And so, to this day, one star symbolizes Syria itself and the other Egypt. The Egyptian flag looks like this today, with Saladin's eagle, an old national emblem, in the middle. Sudan also adopted the flag, but added the green, and Iraq has also been using a modified form of the flag since 2008 following the American invasion. Here, however, an inscription was added in Arabic script, which unfortunately I am not allowed to say on YouTube. In German, however, it means something like "God is greatest." Incidentally, the Iraqi flag used to look like this, which reminds us very much of the second motif of Arab independence, the Arab Revolutionary Flag. In its standard form, this is used today by Palestine, but other neighbors also made use of the symbolism. Jordan added a 7-pointed star to the flag, which stands for the 7 verses of the first surah of the Quran. The United Arab Emirates and Kuwait also have a very similar flag. In both cases, however, green and black have been swapped. In the case of the United Arab Emirates, the red is solid, and in Kuwait we see a trapezoid taken from the former flag of Iraq. The latter flag also has a very unusual aspect ratio of 1:2. And finally, the Republic of Sahara, which is not recognized by the UN, also uses the flag with an Islamic sovereign symbol. In addition to the obviously similar flags, other countries such as Libya, Algeria, and Oman also use the same pan-Arab colors. However, I would like to mention one anecdote in more detail. Two countries are particularly similar: Qatar and Bahrain. In both, we see red and white and the 5 points that symbolize the 5 pillars of Islam. Originally, The two flags were actually identical and differed only in terms of the proportions of the sides, which is why they were constantly confused. To avoid this, however, the fact that the red dye used to color the flag was often darkened by the sun was used. This is why Qatar's flag is now Bordeaux red. Over the last few decades, however, all the countries mentioned have also had so many other interesting flags, which are unfortunately beyond the scope of this video. Feel free to write in the comments if you would be interested in more videos about flags, or if I am the only one who finds this exciting.